I found it's hundreds of times easier to write about someone you know intimately than to either write about a real person that you don't know much about or to invent someone out of thin air. The problem always comes back to depth. The words a person says, their actions, they're all a manifestation of an iceberg of personality and idioms. Words are the shadows in Plato's cave, cast from a true form. You have to understand the form, its name, and its shape before you can ever project out the sounds that would emanate from that character. The difficulty lies in how vulnerable we can be with other people. To show our true selves takes trust, and that trust can be abused quickly if our secrets and character are spilled in a piece of prose. Trust, once broken, rarely if ever returns, so we must tread lightly with the characters we paint. That's why I prefer to ponder and write about the great what-ifs in life. I can spend time thinking about the history of a character. What is their origin story? What are the values that were instilled upon them by their parents? How their community and the broader civilization at large shape them? What are their goals and ideals in life? How do their principles shape the things they say? Before you ever begin to type the double quote character to express how they may feel, you have to have the depth of character defined. A character I've been pondering for a while is President Lincoln. He's, from what I recall, our most popular president ever, second likely only to President Washington, though for very different reasons. President Lincoln drew the red line, declaring the freedom applied regardless of the color of one's skin. An American is an American, no matter how much melanin they have. There's a lot of interesting things that happened after the end of the Civil War. For instance, the establishment of the Freedmen's Bureau to help with resettlement of the formerly enslaved. The promise of 40 acres and a mule is what most people remember the Freedmen's Bureau for, since unfortunately it didn't live up to its mission statement. I wonder how history would have been different had some of the foundation's beliefs been different. For instance, what if President Lincoln had been a Rasta? Yes, I know. The Rastafarian religion came into existence in the 1930s. So the timeline would need to be different. I'm just saying, what if President Lincoln burned weed? There's some interesting beliefs of the Rastafarian religion that may have helped shape what happened after the end of the Civil War. For instance, there is an emphasis on the diaspora returning to Africa. Some of that came true with the founding of Liberia. A very interesting country to research if you don't know much about it. In general though, the idea that Jah partially resides in all of us and that smoking can be considered a sacrament, would that have shaped the laws in the US had Abraham Lincoln had dreads? Would we have incarcerated so many black men for non-violent marijuana-related charges? Probably not. How different would our country be if we had not listened to William Randolph Hearst? That got me thinking. What would happen if Abraham Lincoln, with eyes as red as the sunrise, was sitting in the Oval Office when one of his generals came in to update him about the changes on the front lines? Mr. President, General McClellan quickly strode from the door to the resolute desk. With more panic in his voice than he realized, he said, "We have an urgent dispatch from the front lines. The Confederates." The president raised one finger to his lips to silence the general. "Easy now, brother. No rush on them words. Babylon, love, haste. Jah, love the truth." General McClellan looked back at him with a completely blank stare. "Sir, I'm not sure I understand." "Hear me now," started the president. "Let your spirit cool in the chest, hear me. Now tell I what da war do say." The general swallowed, then began to relay to him what had been urgently wired from the front lines less than an hour ago. We have engaged the traitors near Antietam. Heavy losses were sustained. Our men are anxious to know. As the commander-in-chief, what is your plan? President Lincoln turned to look out the window at the trees and bushes and birds. Plan. Jar has a plan. The chains around your neck. Only Jar can break. Freedom is the plan. But sir, the troops have heart. You tell them, march with Jar's strength. No needless bloodshed seen. Da enemy, they fear da vibes. Truth shake them bones. One love, my general. Jar provide. Dismissed. As General McClellan turned to leave the office with his orders, completely unsure about what had just happened, he heard the faint sound of a match being lit, and he knew that the man he fought for, the man whom his men would gladly die for, was absolutely, unequivocally as high as a kite.